Friends, how are you doing? I hope everyone is having a good day. It's Wednesday, September 24th, and finally we're having pushback in the market today, obviously because someone couldn't keep their mouth shut. Mr. Jerome Powell here yesterday pretty much essentially sank the market here, and it's continuing in today. But hey, we had to have some pushback here eventually, and this is, of course, one dude with just a few little words just sank the whole market, millions, billions of dollars. Let's talk about what's going on with BigBear. Let's talk about what's going on with Open. I want to talk about Open because I've been getting so many comments because I was talking about Open fiercely last week, and I kind of backed off a little because I was just like so inundated with what was going on with BigBear, other things here, but I'm still very much thinking something could happen here with Open, so it probably will happen here with Open. So I want to talk about that, but let's go into the story that gets us there here right now. So the big thing too, and I'll start with Open here because it's kind of gonna go right into what I'm talking about, but the big thing now is that Jerome Powell obviously yesterday gave his talk about inflation, all that, and it was pretty much the same kind of Eeyore talk here that Jerome gives here, where he just says, we don't know for certain, we're taking caution, and he talked about the market was too pushed up, stocks were too expensive. He talked about AI specifically, that he thought it was too overpriced and concerned about things. Just things like it was really just like personal comments. You're like, what are you doing? And of course, it scared money. It scared money out of the market here. So with that, we've had huge sell-off, especially in the AI sector here. But too, with that, he left some clues as he does, saying like, we're going to continue to see what's happened, and if we have to make it, he used the word adjustments. That was not a good word to use. Adjustments in the next Fed meeting, and people went, what? Adjust what? Like, you're not going to do the rate cut? So this wouldn't be the first time that, they've done this in the past. He's done this in the past. They've done this in the past, where they have pulled the rug out from under the market, where they were like, actually, we're not going to do that other rate cut we were talking about. So I think they'll do 2 more rate cuts. They've got to. Job reports are so awful. I mean, they've got to continue to do something here. Now, obviously, tariff, inflation, all that, I mean, it's, you give and take. I'm not an economist. I'm just an investor. So, I'm talking about what's going on here. But 2, so with these next 2 rate cuts, I'm just going along with, we're going to get them. And 2, with that, even pullback today in the market, we didn't have dramatic pullback. I mean, this wasn't like, oh my God, like, what is going on here? This is just like, a little bit of pullback, buy back in, whatever you want to do. Now, I'm still on the thing where I believe we're getting 2 rate cuts. I believe that Tom Lee is still on track for what he's predicting for the S&P 500 to close out at 7,000 point range here at the end of the year, somewhere around December, January. We'll even give him that amount of time. But, we're dealing with the Feds too. What are the Feds going to do here? We've got Jerome Powell over here, the angel side, saying, we'll do rate cuts. And then the devil side goes, well, just whispering things in his ear, negative things to say, and that this is what we're left with right now. S&P today, I mean, a little bit of pullback, but still all-time highs there. SoundHound backing down a little bit. SoundHound's still holding the $17 position. That's freaking nuts. And then Palantir right under 180. Palantir is going to $200 here within 3 weeks, probably, leading up to this next quarterly. It will be pre or post something, but either way, there's probably a 200 that will be following along with that stock. It is unstoppable. And then you got Rich Tech here. I told people yesterday that I bought into Rich Tech, and there's a lot of things that have happened here with Rich Tech. I actually doubled down on that position today when it fell even more. Now, obviously, I'm going to get to BigBear. I'm going to get to Open here, but Rich Tech, obviously, they had a huge deal last week. This is a company that I truly believe could do something here in the future. It's not guaranteed, but if there was a moment for this company to work, it's this moment here, and they're getting deals. The debt's really good. What little debt they have, they've got things under control over there. But 2, they just did an offering, and when people hear about companies taking offerings, they flip. I don't know why people flip out about offerings. Like I've seen this since day one in the market. People go, oh my God, they took an offering, or like a CEO sells share, part of their shares in a company, like, oh my God. This is what companies do. It's not that big of a deal. Like, it doesn't mean that it's terrible. I mean, what are we doing here? So there's that. But two, I'm confident that a lot of this market, as long as we continue into what we're doing here, that we're going to get a lot of these numbers back plus more here. In Rich Tech, there's still things going on here, and I think that next quarterly should be pretty chunky from what we can see here. So let's go into Opendoor stock here. Let's talk about what's going on with Opendoor. So Opendoor was literally the only stock in the stock market today that was actually moving here, and it was doing really well. I mean, it went from this taking, and that's the thing. When we saw the rate cuts happen, Opendoor immediately started to sell off. People went, okay, great. We're going to start taking profit out of that. It was almost at $11. And that's why I told people, like, take profit, because I figured bank stocks, REIT stocks, AI stocks, just because their AI stocks were going to run like crazy. Sure enough, they did. And now that we've had Jerome come in yesterday and say, actually, let's pump the brakes. Now all that stuff is sold off here. What it has, not much. But now Open is going right back up. Even after hours here, we're at $9. So, this is just, it's manipulation. Obviously, investors are just like, I'm just going to walk back over to Open and start playing around over there. I mean, this is the thing. Open, as long as it stays around this $8, $9 position, this is good for obviously the CEO. And the main comment I'm seeing, people are saying, do you think that Open's going to go back to $10 to, or $15, $20? $10, obviously, I don't think that's that big of a deal. And two, if we see tech stocks struggle tomorrow, if we see the market kind of still in this struggle position, which we very well could. I mean, this could be a 48-hour bug in the market where it's just like, people are continuing to take, sell out and shift things around here, and, that's just what it is until we get to Friday, see how the market can clean up here going into next week. Opendoor, even last week, the new leadership in there, they said, hey, we are here, we are going through the company, we are cutting fat off. And they also spoke to investors, which I thought was so freaking smart. And obviously they're going to, because the new CEO is, if the main thing that a lot of investors are looking at right now is if this stock remains around $9-10 and continues to go up, this is good for the CEO and deals that he's made with the company. So with that, I do believe that what they said about keeping investors up to date, I'm hoping that they do. I'm hoping that we see Opendoor here release just little, not even articles, just like little bullet point paragraphs about what's going on over there, what they're pushing for, what they're working on, what they're doing. Just keep investors in the loop, what's going on here, how well things are going. But two, on top of that, why I was so aggressive talking about the rate cut here in the beginning is because the rate cuts 100% are going to affect what is going on at a faster pace with Opendoor 100%. So, obviously rate cuts good for the housing market, rate cuts good for the credit card market, rate cuts good for people having more money to borrow. So, which undoubtedly filters right through the housing market, and the housing market obviously has been just, very, up and down. So with that, we're depending on some things for this stock to push more. I believe that it will continue to be a manipulated stock. I still think it's a meme stock, and there's nothing wrong with that. So for the older investors out there, and I say that in no offense whatsoever, but for people that are like, this is not a meme stock, even the new leadership, they're like, whoa, this is not a meme stock. I get why they're saying that, but listen, this company is dog crap when it comes to finances. There's a reason what happened with this company the past 3-4 weeks happened, okay? So right now, until we see progression with finances, where they're going, this company actually doing something to turn around here right now, it's a meme stock. It is fugazi, it is manipulated by investors, and it is 100% a meme stock. That's what meme stock is. So with that, there's a lot of money to be made in the stock. I mean, even today, investors made a lot of money with the stock. If you sold out at 10, 11, which some of you told me you did, and then you bought back in here at the beginning of the week around, the $7, $8 range. I mean, you're back up in profit zone here. You just restarted the wheel here. So things that happen here, obviously, for the company to talk to us, anytime this company is probably going to release significant information, I would imagine it's going to send jolts into the stock, the share price. With that, one big thing here too is that Jerome has got to shut up. The more obviously, he didn't directly say we're going to not do rate cuts, but he said things to really make us go like, what did he say? So there needs to be just more confidence that these rate cuts are coming. And two, when this next rate cut comes up, which is like October 28th, 29th, at the end of October here, when we're supposed to get this next rate cut. And two, when this next rate cut appears here at the end of October, this is going to be the time when all these tech companies, banks, everything, all of our major companies, essentially, they're going to report earnings, and that too should be good for the market. So what we just went through last week, if everything follows plan here, we should have another week like we had last week in the market at the end of October. You're probably going to see a bunch of dads walking around, maybe some moms out there too, with their phones while they're trick-or-treating, like, oh my God, because the market's going to be going crazy, if we get these rate cuts. And the thing that I want to say here, specifically about Opendoor here, if you're like, is this thing going to go to $10? Is it going to go to $15, $20? $10, we've been $10. I think that's pretty much accomplished. Even now after hours, this thing's playing around $9. We'll probably easily get back to $10 here. I'm not really like, oh my God, that's probably coming here within, the next hours. But I would highly expect, we could see some new numbers travel in here way before the end of October. That's quite a while here. We're talking about 3-4 weeks here at this point. But I would highly expect, leading up to this next rate cut, that Opendoor will do what it did here just last week, where it will run to ridiculous numbers. So the next ridiculous number that it could run up to at the end of October, yeah, it could be $15, $20 if we don't conquer that by sooner here. So yeah, I mean, I don't look at Opendoor and look at it and go like, oh, this is a dead stock. It's not a dead stock because it's highly manipulated. It's a meme stock. And where there's a meme stock that still has a lot of gas attached to it and a lot of speculation, there's a fight. The fight here is around this $8, $9, $10 position right now. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with calling it a meme stock. I really, the meme stocks are good. Why? Because meme stocks can make you a lot of money. Now, obviously, I hope that this company turns things around. I hope they really do get this under control. I hope this is like the future of automation when it comes to, the housing market with company. I do believe, if you want me to give you a long-term outlook here, I do believe that a lot of things are just going to automated systems, the car market, the housing market, anything where people can figure out a way just to do things themselves, 1, 2, 3 on their phone, laptop, whatever it be. That's where the future is going to go. Real estate agents be a thing of the past, maybe in 5-10 years. Car salesmen, a thing of the past in 5-10 years. Who knows? But this is where things are headed, undoubtedly. And if this was ever going to work with the company, Opendoor's got a really good, head start here with what could be here. They've got the company, they've got the technology, and now they've got 2 new guys in this company, back in this company, essentially. One of them that are solid CEOs that have worked with huge companies and done amazing things, and they're going to bring some tricks and secrets into Opendoor here that could really transform it into the future. So yeah, I mean, short term, long term, meme stock, plays in and out of it, I think it's still a positive situation. I really do. But but I will tell you, if these rate cuts get pulled out, this thing will fall back down to a $4 to $5 position easily. And two, there's a lot of heat around this, because I would imagine, the new CEO in Opendoor, he's saying the same things we're saying. He's like, I swear to God, if Jerome Powell does not do his rate cuts, I would imagine he's saying the same thing. A lot of people are depending on these rate cuts, and I get some people are like, I don't want rate cuts. We don't need rate cuts. I get all that, inflation, all that kind of stuff. If you're an investor and you're counting on bank stocks, REIT stocks, just the market in general, these cuts are going to continue to control this market 100%. So friends, that's my spiel on Opendoor, and I really do wish everyone the best of luck with it. I'm still going to talk about it, obviously. It's still a lively stock. I mean, look what happened today. Look what happened. Let's talk about my beautiful Big Bear here. So, Big Bear, I thought this was good. I thought this was a great sell-off today. The fact that Big Bear, with the rest of the market, obviously found resistance today. The market was a little deceiving when it started up today, because it was like it started to push. There was some very high volume, even pre-market. I woke up at like 6 o'clock today and was like cleaning up Legos off the floor and, trying to read and stuff. And, pre-market was like crazy. I mean, it was just like, even Rich Tech was like at like 420s, like at like 7 o'clock this morning. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. But then obviously once the market started, the sales hit and boom, we just started to drift down here. But Big Bear held. I mean, this is great. I mean, there's still a lot of people that are in profit zone right now. Yesterday we had a wild day with Big Bear. I mean, this thing was looking for $9, and this has been the wall here with Big Bear. This has been this wall where this $7-8 wall here, $8.50 here, where Big Bear has always struggled, and that's very interesting. Now, obviously, we've made it to 10 and some change here at the beginning of the year with Big Bear, but these last two big pushes that we've had with Big Bear have been around this position. Now, this run, this past 4-day run, essentially with Big Bear, has been one of the biggest pushes we've seen here. Now, I do want to talk about this. Some news has come out here, and this is great news. This is absolutely amazing. BigBear.ai and SMX to enhance maritime domain awareness for U.S. Navy 4th Fleet at UNITAS. Am I saying this right? UNITAS 2025 here. So this is a statement they've released on their actual website. This is real news. This is not fake news. Big Bear released this. The U.S. Navy will host this year's fleet of approximately 8,000 personnel, and this is happening from September 15th to October 6th. So this is a great position for Big Bear just to flaunt their defense capability, their software, what they're doing here. So it's good. This is good. And this is what Big Bear needs. They need more stuff like this, showcasing who they are, what they have, all that kind of stuff. So, and that really didn't even like push into the market today. It held position here today really good. I mean, and that's kind of what I was talking about here, that Big Bear really held this $7 position, and that's kind of what we haven't seen in the past. With these large runs that we've had with Big Bear, this is why yesterday I was like trying to throw caution to the wind, like saying like, hey, we have not had pullback yet, so this next pullback that could show up here could be significantly big here. We could pull back to $6 here, but Big Bear today held this middle ground here, $7 and 30-40 cents. So this was really encouraging, that this is what happened here. Listen, I believe that Big Bear's got a future in this market. I believe Big Bear's got a future more with the United States government. I said this in January 2025. I said it in November of 2024. I truly believe that we're going to wake up one day and we're going to see that, Big Bear has just received some ridiculous, stupid contract with, the government, with, a defense deal that is just like, it'll change everything. It'll change everything overnight. Being in the market for seasons now, I've definitely seen, I think probably a lot of you have, where we've seen these low cap stocks, these maybe companies that we're like, man, it's a good company. They got a good product and they got deals, but they just need one juicy deal. And that's how a lot of companies get going. They get one big juicy deal. I've seen stocks play around a $3, $4, or $5 position on a good day. And then I've seen companies get a significant, huge deal, and then that stock will just shoot to, a double digit number in no time, and that's why a lot of people compare Palantir to Big Bear, and maybe there's different reasons for that. When I look at Palantir and I look at Big Bear, I look at it for different reasons. I look at it as the history of the road, that got them both where they're at right now. I remember 3 years ago when Palantir first started to get those government contracts, and those government contracts were significant. I mean, they were huge, and that's what drew a lot of attention to what was going on over at Palantir. And obviously, for the person leaving the hefty comment right now about how I'm wrong about this, they're not the same company. Everything's I get that. What I'm saying is that Palantir was on this road of they were doing good company, solid quarterlies, nothing crazy. I don't think they were making $400 million quarterlies at that point, but they were doing great. They were doing good for what they were, being a newer company, and there was a lot of speculation, a lot of hype around them, much like there is Big Bear. Now, Palantir at that time, even then, was doing really good financially compared to what Big Bear is doing right now. But saying that, Big Bear still being a very cheap stock, very much in this more of a muddy situation than what Palantir had even then. There was a long time where Palantir was just like, it seemed forever. It felt like forever, where Palantir was just at like a $6 to $8 stock. It was like, there it is, 6, 8. I think it was like a year where that thing was just sitting there, but they kept releasing good. Even Palantir at that point was releasing good quarterly. The market sucked then too. This was like, this was that market. So, I'm not trying to get political, but this was that market. It was not a great market then. And defense stocks were not really being looked at. We were still in the market was still in this zone of like, biodiesel stocks and, electric cars and stuff like that. It was a different time in the market. But with that, things have dramatically changed now, and Big Bear is in this position where it's getting a lot of attention because it's in this defense category now. And I would imagine if they've already got hefty defense deals, maybe there's a big juicy one coming up here. That would be an excellent Christmas present for a lot of us if Big Bear got a huge deal here. So I think there's definitely something that could happen here, friends. I really do mean that. I'm very encouraged that we could see more happen with Big Bear, 100%. It's a situation of wait and see, and not a lot of people can do that, and I totally get that. It's a hard situation. A lot of people 3-4 weeks ago would have never thought that Big Bear would have survived and pushed back into essentially almost a higher range and more of a I guess I'll say a violent price push here, just very, very fast, pushing up into almost a $9 range compared to the last push we had over the summer, back in, beginning of, July when that last push happened. So, yeah, this is great. This is huge momentum. So, friends, stay encouraged. Obviously the one thing that is encouraging right now about this pullback is that, this is a manipulated pullback. This is all from one dude saying a few wrong words. Now, obviously things were high. There's things that are, yes, overpriced in the market, 100%. And for the person that's in here and they're bearish on Big Bear and they're going, this company's not producing enough quarterlies, that why are you talking about this? Why are you still talking about this? I get that. I have talked about that so much, it's unbelievable. But hey, you got to start somewhere, and like I said, I'm optimistic that they can turn this around and get one huge deal that will change everything here. Friends, I want to wish all of you the best of luck, and I will talk to you soon. I think investors will take this market back very soon here. I'm not expecting this to last, this sell-off. I think the market will turn around here more than likely sooner than we think, and investors will reclaim everything we had here just 24 hours ago, plus more. So best of luck fighting out there, friends, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.